Good evening and welcome to the Open Spaces Committee for Monday the 15th of December, originally for 7 o'clock, but 7:30 is close enough. Can we start with any apologies for absence, please?
Yeah, we have councillors S. Taylor, T. Taylor, S. Fraser, J. Taylor. It's not reliable.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest? Okay. So we go on to item 4, public participation. 10 minutes. Hannah?
Yes. Hi, sorry. The allotments are still having problems with people stealing stuff. They are now going over and stealing our crops, which is pretty handy because a lot of us were growing them for Christmas and now they're all been stolen. So there are locks on the gates. I believe signage hasn't gone up, but actually I don't think the sign's been like do not come in here when there's a lock. But the fences, they're easy to jump over. I jump over it sometimes because I forget what the code is. So if you get reports of me jumping over, sorry.
Which allotment?
Sorry, the original.
Oh, right, the group.
Yeah. Yeah, the locks are on. It seems to help with the stealing of big things because it's harder to jump over a fence. But because now the bushes have been cut, they've been cut really low, so they're easy to get over. The fence is easy to get over, and yeah, it has been reported to the police multiple times now, and they've told us to keep reporting things so they can stop the crime numbers to get police to come. But yeah.
I mean, excuse me, Chair, if I'm mistaken. I know, obviously, you weren't the chair at the time when this was discussed. Hannah, you might remember. Did we discuss as a committee having higher fences?
It was suggested when I'd spoken to Sharon. She suggested maybe putting higher gates.
Yeah.
But first, you guys agreed to just do the locks first. But yeah, the other thing is like if we could let the hedge grow higher. But then around the park side, there is no hedge; it's just the fence. And then there is another thing where we can apply for funding for the allotments through the allotment association. But the problem is every member of the allotment has to apply to be a part of it. So we wanted to propose maybe making it mandatory because a lot of other allotments run by councils is mandatory as part of your signing up to a plot to be part of the allotment. So it has insurance and everything. So if the groundsmen come over and do their checks and they step on the fork on your thing, like we've got money to pay for claims and stuff. But if we could maybe have that as a consideration of making it mandatory to be part of the allotment association.
Okay, I mean, as I say, that's one of the items under the actions following the walkabout. So if we bring that to the table then. The one question I would have asked for you is you say there is grant funding or applications you can make for if all members are of the association. What sort of things would you be able to apply for?
One of them, we were going to do a more in-detail proposal for like the next thing, but one of them is like because security alters access to the whole allotment, you can't, as a minority on the allotment, apply for funding to change the access to it, which would help with security because everybody has to be on board with it, if that makes sense. So
yeah. Could your application for funding go as far as higher fencing and things like that?
Yeah, just a lot of them, obviously you have to put forward proposals for them and then they have to be approved like for the grants and stuff, but security involves fencing or cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing the council could part fund or put contributions towards it if you, I don't know whether that would come under a grant funding or whether that's something just the council and the committee would agree to if a proposal is being put forward. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Sorry, just on that, you will have to excuse me again. I haven't been able to attend any of the walkabouts because I've been busy with work. Has the committee visited the allotments?
Yes, there is a report item.
There is a report on that. Was the security looked at on the visit?
On the visit, as Hannah has said, the fence is this high,
right.
but the hedges were this high, and they were quite prickly. as I inspected myself recently, everything's at this height.
Right.
So it's easier to jump over. If we can just wait until we get to that item,
Yeah,
then we can just explain what was said, what was suggested during the walkabout. Okay. So do we have any other? No? Okay. Right, so we go on to the item 5, the minutes of the Open Space Committee for the 17th of November. Does anybody have any comments? Councillor Burton?
I'm happy to propose to accept just for the slight amendment, 061.25 put with the Vice Chairman. It was myself that opposed Councillor Burrows, not Councillor Adam. But tweaks.
What's that?
Appointment of Vice Chairman?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, just that's myself, not
So-
Councillor Adam. But I am happy to propose to accept for that amendment.
Councillor Allen proposed, Councillor Burrows, yeah.
I propose.
Oh, sorry.
I decline.
Okay, so
See that on there? Because it's the last one.
Yeah, I propose Councillor Allen second.
right, okay.
But I am happy to propose to accept. Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody second that?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour? Okay.
Do you want to sign them now?
Yeah. Where do I sign?
Just finish each page and then at the end we'll just.
Okay, we go on to item 7, which is the report on the, ahead of myself, item 6, report on the football pitches and recreation ground, gamers and grant funding. Sharon, you put something together?
I just basically have sent some information about the grant funding that's available. I just wanted to make sure that you were happy for me to apply for said grant funding. It might take some time to pull something together.
Yeah. Well, from the visit we had, we did see that the football pitches will, any help that they can get will be for the benefit of those using it.
Yeah.
So any application for funding that can be achieved will be a benefit to that. So yes, please.
Okay, that's great.
Um,
Do you want to take a vote on
Yeah, I
that
think we
make
need
sure
to
it's in the-
propose
Second it and
Councillor Burrows to propose and Councillor Dalton second. All those in favour?
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, carry. Okay, going on to the report, item 7, report of the site visits to Gamers, Lowman Road and London Road.
Games is kind of included in 8D, isn't it? But London and London.
Yeah.
Cedar Drive is London Road.
Yes. Yeah. Just going for the for gamers to start with. There were several councillors who were able to attend. The first point that we found was the actual access area. There is excessive wear and ponding for both vehicular access, maintenance and pedestrian access. When we come to the recommendations and ideas of which we want to make amendments to, we'll come to those. Because what we've tried to do, because there's so many things that we could do from these walkabouts, we've tried to prioritise to start with either the easy wins or the things that are most important. So following on from that, we started a walk round for the whole area, and the access to the clubhouse, there is a ramped access, and at the bottom of that the mud's sort of this deep. So that's a further item that we will come to as a proposal. And while we were walking around, we noticed, bear in mind it's Gamers, which was an orchard, there's very few trees left, and the proposal was that we were to put a few more trees, orchard trees within that area, which again is on the item to come. We also looked at the condition of the pitches, which is what we've just referred to with regards to the grant funding. And also the playground equipment and access positions, there is again excessive wear. But I think because there are so many items on the agenda today, we will come back to those at the next agenda, because obviously during the winter there's going to be little less use for the playgrounds. So if we can get them into good condition by the time the spring and the summer comes, when the children are most likely to be using them again, then I think we need to concentrate on things that we can do that are more important, that we can do quickly and easily. We then went on to London Road or Cedar Drive, whichever you access you come from. Again, we noticed the playground access has wear, and where the equipment is on there, there is wear and ponding. But the item we thought was most necessary to address, there is an access gate on London Road that unless you actually jump on it, it's impossible to close. If somebody was to close it, it's very unlikely a child would be able to open it. So therefore we have an open access onto London Road being the main drag in. So the thought of a child being chased by his mate suddenly running out through there, you've only got a few yards until the road. So the proposal was to look at a new access gate, which again is on the agenda for a later item. The other point was the Lomond Road, which is where the new playground is. Now we all saw the playground equipment is in wonderful condition, it's new, and it's well used. The only thing we did ask the groundsman to do was to monitor the posts that define the boundary, because over time any wooden post in the ground, they do rot. So we've asked them on their regular rounds to inspect and report and get Sharon to approve any new posts being put in as necessary. So that's basically what we did as the walk around. Right, okay. Going on to item 8, the actions from the last walkabout before that. So there was various members of the council that were able to come on these walkabouts. The Blackthorn Road was the one that was most best attended, therefore hopefully most members will recognise what we saw and what we discussed in the walkabout. At the last committee meeting, it was agreed that we would prepare some design proposals to use the Section 106 contribution that we have been granted by, or will be being passed by Brecklin, which is from the 106, which is £73,211 to use for the play equipment on Blackthorn Road.
73122.
Yeah. So prior to this meeting, there were several drawings that were passed to the members of the committee in advance of the publication of the agenda, so they had the opportunity to look at that. So members, are there any comments on those drawings that were previously submitted for the playground, the trim trail, the accesses, the new footpath, bins, dog bins, benches, wheelchair accessible picnic areas, basically. So does anybody have any comments?
Just that it was brilliant, difficult to see on here, you know, but push them out.
Yep.
I think the plans, you must have spent hours doing those. And I think that's where, personally, we ought to concentrate, because that's where the money's got to go.
Yep.
As soon as possible, because they won't give it to us till it's done. So I think we need to concentrate on Blackthorn, get that done, and then move on.
Yeah. Well, all drawings were issued by all members, to all members.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has any comments or changes, can we hear them? If not, do we have a proposer and a seconder
I
for the design?
propose that we take the design, unless anybody's got anything desperate that they don't like, because I thought they were brilliant.
Yeah.
Proposed by Councillor Dale,
Seconded.
seconded by Councillor Allen. And can we vote to ask Sharon to go out to tender on the basis of the drawings proposed?
Those in favour.
Those in favour?
Okay, yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you, Tony. That's very
Yeah.
Okay.
noted.
Again,
Just ask
sorry.
for clarification. With regard to option sheet 2, option sheet 3, etc., am I going out to tender?
No, what the idea of the option sheets were was so that all members, just so that we can, I don't know if members of the public can see from there, these were option sheets which have various pieces of equipment on them, which the options or my preferred options were highlighted in with a blue dot. Each of those drawings were then put together in. We had hoped to have the projector available, but unfortunately the person that puts the projector up isn't unfortunately here today.
Anyway, you need a new projector.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well, anyway, from each of those items, we put 6 in a trim trail where children jump, climb, walk across, and then move to the next one. And
so we go by the blue dots. then?
no, we go by. Well, yes, the blue dots are the individual pieces of equipment that are put together. I can't find it amongst your list of stuff, Sharon, but somewhere in there is then a drawing that actually shows how each piece works together. So we'll go through it after the meeting,
Yeah,
or I'll come in tomorrow or whatever. We can just run through it
Yeah.
in detail. Okay. So that takes us on to item 8B, which is the recreation ground. Now, with the splash pad, there were initially proposals for public toilets. As the splash pad got changed, the public toilets and changing rooms were removed, and then following the decision to no longer pursue the splash pad, the option for any further public toilets on the rec went with it. Now, speaking to the members when we had our walkabout, everybody thought the idea of bringing public toilets back onto the rec was a proposal worth considering. Now, it's on this agenda for basically for the committee members to vote, hopefully, to start the process. Obviously, with a public toilet, there are certain parameters that are needed. We need to find the proximity to services, which is primarily water and electric, to make them work. We need to agree or discuss locations, and probably most importantly, we need to discuss design. From what's been said earlier today is toilets are subject to vandalism, etc., etc. So the cheaper option will be to do a traditional brick-built one with a door that's locked at night. Anybody can come in at any stage, use them, hopefully not do too much damage to them. Or we can consider the type of unit that we have now, which is unfortunately only key code, but it's an electronic operation to come in and out. If that is the proposal or design solution, I think the one thing we have to do is ensure that it's also coin operated. So it's on the agenda for consideration and resolution to start the design process by way of a feasibility study for the public toilets. So does anybody have any comments on the committee? Councillor Reynolds?
Looking at it, personally, I think the best place to put it would be near the preschool. Would be my preferred location to have the public toilets.
Near
the
pavilion?
Yeah, the pavilion, sorry, the pavilion. To have it down on that way, just That's where I think my preference would be, to have the public toilets down that end.
Councillor Burrows?
Wouldn't there be, most people are going to be attending the Bowler building or watching football down the other end where the skate park is, and I know it's not a million miles away, but whether it's better with the kiddies playground there to get as close to that as you could.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if they're talking about the football club will be open for the public to use the toilets at the football club. So we've got toilets that end, but we ain't got nothing this end.
I agree, but I just, they're not always open, are they, the Bowler, except when they play football. So during the summer, there's very little going on, cricket or anything there. So it's just,
I mean,
as we've said,
today it's on the agenda just to promote discussion, and I think the key to it is the first point, is the proximity to services, because it's great if you build it over that corner, but if the only way you can get the services out, which is obviously the Fowler Surface Water Sewer, is that end, you're going to be spending lots of money moving it from one to another. So I would suggest we start the feasibility study, and depending on where the proximity to services is, we use that as the starting point, and then we discuss around it from there.
Yeah, because looking at the foul, it'd be easier to put it down on the football club end, because then you won't be digging up the road on the other end, because that's where you'd have to connect, is into the main street, behind the hedgerow, or tee in to the pavilion.
Finding out what is and isn't available is the first, so we probably need to engage a engineering consultant that can look at what facilities are. The other things, we need to check that the levels are available for a foul outfall. Now, certainly there must be something at the Bono building. I know there is at the pavilion, but it's also then capacity, etc., etc. So doing those investigations as part of the feasibility, I think, is the first starting point.
You might have some information from the splash pad investigation.
Maybe, but as long as, I mean, obviously I think we've discussed it now, so are members happy to start a feasibility study? Can I have a proposer? Councillor Allen, and seconded by Councillor Bircham. All those in favour?
Majority?
Can it be noted that I took no part in discussion or vote, please?
Certainly. Okay, going on to item 8C, which is Norfolk Drive. Whilst we previously considered that we need to look at the playground, that's a major expense item. One of the things that we can deal with quite quickly is there is a bench there, and it's a wheelchair accessible bench, but the only way to get to it is to go across the grass. Now, in the summer, that's probably fine when it's bone hard. So a proposal that we put forward is to create a 1.2 metre wide by 6 metre long concrete footpath to the existing bench, just to allow wheelchair access if they come with the children. Again, for consideration and resolution, can we have a proposer? Councillor Reynolds, seconder, Councillor Dale, all those in favour?
Unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, going on to gamers, as we said on our last walkabout, the access, both vehicular and pedestrian, onto the gamers field is dreadful. It's muddy, it's ponding, so we have a proposal to put a new access apron, should we call it, which is from the drawings. Do we have it to hand?
That one.
Yep. Again, I had hoped we could have had a screen, and certainly for the benefit of the members of the public. I know they could look at it on the agenda, but certainly the councillors have had this. So we're looking for a 15 metre wide by 5 metre deep sort of bound surface, in the sense of we would take a small excavation away, which basically scraped the mud out, we would lay type 1 compacted and dressed with granite chips or something similar, so it gives you an apron to access. Now I know the area beyond that will then start to wear, but if the area is large enough, not every single person is going to go off at the same point. So hopefully that will allow, and then we can also, where the worst areas of wear is, we can then fence that off so we direct people where we want them to go. There is a second option where we were to suggest using that surfacing that takes it all the way to the clubhouse, which is a further 30 metres and potentially a footpath of a hard surfacing of 2.5 metres wide. Just wondering what the members' view of that is. Councillor Reynolds?
To be quite honest, I think you're better off obviously putting the hardcore down but concreting it. Just concrete the whole section. So I just don't think that's going to last with vehicles going in. I think having a concrete base would be a hell of a lot better than just having a type 1 or anything down, because that's just going to wear. Again, you may as well do it right first time.
Okay.
That's what I think.
What do councillors think of that?
The only question I had was, with your second option, could you not just have the footpath instead of extending the whole bit plus a footpath to the clubhouse?
Well, the reason why it's extended is because that's the extent of the wear. If we only put a footpath in, from that point onwards, you'll then have a trench that's like 15 metres wide and 2 metres deep that is just thick mud.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was to, the new apron or access would cover the areas where the excessive wear is now. Councillor Dale?
The footpath they put behind the pavilion,
Yes?
is very good.
Yeah.
That was up to your knees in mud at one time. What
Yeah.
they've done there is excellent, and it hasn't worn. So I don't know. And the other thing, there's a covenant over there. We're not allowed to put down permanent, so a path wouldn't be permanent, would it?
Anything can be removed, but I would suggest the proposal. I mean, this is the area that you saw.
Yeah.
And this is what I've been proposing, instead of, I mean, I'm sorry that we don't have the projector, but I mean, you're more than welcome to come and look at these. I mean, it's just mud.
Yeah, it
And
is.
what we're proposing, or I've proposed, is an area of, hard surface without it going as far as a concrete surface.
If it's like the path behind.
Yes, that was the proposal.
That is fine. I don't object that at all, because that has worn, and I use it a lot, and it's worn really well.
That doesn't have as many vehicles as when
No.
you put the tracks on there.
Yeah.
So just where the entrance is.
Yes.
I think Alan was right.
Yeah.
If you put that in the entrance, that will just keep them away within the turn.
Okay.
So it might be necessary to put some concrete, tarmac.
Okay, well, there's two points here. Obviously, if Councillor Dale is correct that there is a covenant that says we can't put a permanent surface down.
I've been here a long time. When it was sold to us for £2, that was one of the covenants, that there should be one sports facility on there and no footings.
Okay. Councillor Dole?
Can I ask that we check what covenant actually physically states?
Yeah.
Because it might not be classed as footings if it's just the access point.
No, that might not be, but I'm talking
That's
about
what I just
buildings.
wanted
Should
to
have
it-
credits.
But I agree, we should check.
We can.
We put that down.
Yes, I mean, we can't. I'm hoping today will give us the approval to take forward with options. I think we need to discuss or come forward with all the options that the councillors have proposed. So we've got 3 separate options at the moment. It's the one that's proposed, possibly a concrete apron, and what's been suggested, certainly by the clerk, is the plastic mesh that stones or whatever go into that then overruns. Councillor Adams?
Talked about the covenant. Was the car park there before then?
No, the car park's been put in, that you came in and walked all the way down.
So, I mean, there is room, because if the car park can go there, why can't just another base going out on a pathway leading down to the changing rooms? I mean,
There actually is a big concrete plinth.
Sorry?
There already is a concrete plinth quite long where the new bench got put in.
Yeah, I mean that is further down, and there is a 1.4 by 1.6 concrete apron where the pedestrian access is, which is concrete, and then the moment you step off that, now you step into this much of mud and water. So would a compromise be is that where the vehicular access is, that we propose that as a concrete apron, and then we propose where the pedestrian movement is, that we refer more to the less intrusive, more natural. So if I was to propose, if I was to do a amendment to this plan and then pass it to Sharon to get quotes on that basis, would members be okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So can I have a proposer that we amend this drawing? Councillor Bircham, seconder?
I've just got one thing to add.
Of course.
With the pathway behind the changing rooms, that won't have football boots and everything running across that. That doesn't at the moment. With this one at the front, when kids and that are going back to the motors, they're all going to have football boots on, they're going across that pathway. I think that's going to be chewed up a lot more than the one behind the change rooms. You know what I mean?
Should all right, as a compromise, should we find out what the cost to do both is?
Yeah.
Because obviously if that's the case, then probably 2.5 metres is probably excessive width.
Yeah.
So if we was to bring it down to 2 metres and we do a new version of this drawing as a hybrid of the suggestions that have been said here. Yeah. So we've had proposer and seconder. All those in favour? Okay, I'll put a further amendment together and then pass that back to you. Okay. Right, the next item was, as we said in the walkabout, is to plant some new orchard trees within the far area where the dog walkers go. The proposal was to plant, but it said number to be agreed. Does anybody have any idea what would be a sensible number? I mean, obviously we're not trying to recreate an orchard, but we're just trying to replace the trees that have now either been unfortunately vandalised or the mistletoe has strangled them, or just trees come to a natural life anyway. Does anybody have any idea of the number of Councillor Reynolds?
I reckon 100 trees.
What, as fruit trees?
Not as fruit trees, different trees. I'm not saying they don't have to be fruit bearing trees, do they?
Well, the idea is that Gamers was an orchard, and therefore the idea was that was to replace the orchard trees that have failed.
I mean, 100 trees, I would swallow 100 trees up in that area.
Oh yeah, no, we're not trying to create a new orchard. It's just there are, on the walkabout, you'll find there are half a dozen trees that have failed. So it's a question: would we suggest we do half a dozen trees? Would we do a dozen trees? We're not trying to create a new orchard or a new woodland. It's just to replace what's lost through time.
Yeah.
Councillor Dole?
Yeah, can I suggest that we ask the clerk for anything over a dozen and see what kind of quotes come back for apple orchard trees, because that's what it was originally. and then we can make a decision on the top
I'll,
one.
yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. So, those in favour?
Yeah.
I know you had a point, but can we come back to in the second public participation? We revisit any of the points that are on it. Thank you. And the last was to put a 1.8 by 1.8 concrete pad at the end of the ramped access. I think that would all come forward within the amended drawing if we're proposing a path that goes all the way to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
So I think we can leave that from the agenda and bring that into the drawing that we do going forward.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Right, item 8E is the Cedar Drive or London Road access. Now this is something I feel very strongly about. Again, I'm so sorry that you can't see it, but here we have a gate that doesn't function basically. It's just an open access where, I mean, I know very small children shouldn't be unaccompanied, but quite often that they are. Even if they're accompanied, they go running off. Their mates chase them. If they're trying to hide, they'll run the other side of the fence. What has been proposed is, hopefully you can see the yellow gate from there, which is a 1.8 high self-closing gate. It's the same thing, if you look at any of our playgrounds, the yellow gates are this high. And they're self-closing. This one's 1.8 metres high to reflect the fencing that's already there. So that's...
This is a health and safety matter, surely we should just go ahead with it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Straight away.
Yes,
without,
that's why it was either an easy win, which are the trees, or the most important things. And as I say, I believe this is the most important item on here today.
It's a health and safety issue.
Okay, so can we have a proposal and a second? Proposal Dale, second Councillor Dalton. But Sharon, if we can get a price for that.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know whether under the rules we'd have to get 3 prices, but I don't know how many manufacturers there are of self-closing gates.
I can think of 2 so far.
Okay, well, whatever quotations we can get.
Yeah.
I don't suppose, I know we suggested we maybe get 6, but I don't think it's possible to get 6. So.
Was that unanimous?
Oh, sorry, did we vote on it?
Yeah, just checking.
Okay, thank you.
In case that was missed off.
Okay, the last item under 8 is the report on the allotment visits. Obviously we did go to Grosvenor Gardens. At that stage the bushes and everything were this high. We suggested doing amendments to the gate to make it less easy to climb by putting marine ply on it. But from what Hannah's just said, if it's down, they're going to jump over, they're going to climb up the fence and just jump over the hedge anyway. So if we recommend or agree that the allotment holders should become members of the allotment association, it would allow an application for funding to be put forward, potentially to put this type of fencing round, which is what we've got round the skateboard park, but maybe not quite that high, which is fairly robust. If they're going to jump over 1.8, there's not much else we could do about that. But obviously I think if there is funding available and we could then grant funding match as well.
You can actually put not part of the spikes, but you can put fence.
Well, I mean these do this type of fencing at the end. The
better.
metal just actually extends up to make it a little bit
Yeah.
more secure. Not that I'm proposing that at this stage, but I'm proposing as a council that we asked the members that join the allotments to become a member of an allotment association, which would allow grant funding to be proposed. will it wait one item,
yeah,
or
sorry, yeah.
do we need to?
Yeah.
We're so near to it, so we
No,
just.
no, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
I've got them.
So, do we have any views on asking the members or those people that have a council allotment to join an allotment association?
Yeah,
Happy
yeah.
to propose.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Allen proposed, Councillor Reynolds second. All those in favour? Okay, that's.
Can I just point out it may need particulars altering for going forward for allotments as well.
May need.
For particulars to be changed as well.
Oh, right,
You know,
okay,
rise
fine.
up for allotments.
Yeah, if there are,
Yeah, have to put an agreed.
that's fine. I mean, if there's anything that we can assist with the time and effort that the allotment holders put into growing stuff for their benefit, to have
Yeah.
somebody just take it home. Oh, look, Mum, I brought home you a nice set of vegetables.
We're sending, I think we're just sending out the
Okay, well, if it can be
Invoices.
rewritten to
Yes.
let them know,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not asking them to, it's not a financial thing to join, it's
No.
just to be a member of the association in each.
Oh,
Councillor Reynolds?
Because we were looking at the main gate when we went down there, is to put the sign above, weren't we, for
Yeah.
the Attleborough allotments, basically. Is that something we're just gonna, or what are we looking to do with that, or just wait until we come back with all this first?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if there is grant funding available, and then we as a council are happy to either match or make a contribution towards it, it could go, you know, to doing anything of those. I mean, we were talking about, you know, an arch over the top.
Yeah, when the hedge was nice and high.
Yeah, and now it would look rather out of place, I think.
Yeah, it would now.
I don't think it would have any security measure to it. It'd just be a nice thing to say, you know, here's the allotment. But
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is to get the allotment association wording rewritten, especially if, as Sharon has said, it's going out for, you know, renewal of fees and things like that. Okay, that takes us on to item 9, which is the development of the Jubilee Woodland north of Norwich Road. Last Friday, members of the council that were able to had a walkabout. Some of them had more appropriate footwear than others, I would say. Somebody walked across, you know, several inches of water in their sneakers.
Didn't they, Daniel?
I'll have a Crocs on the front up there, so could be worse.
So this was the very first iteration of any discussions on what would happen within the Jubilee Wood. The proposal or the idea of the meeting was to allow members of the council that wanted to familiarise themselves with the boundaries, the lie of the land, whether it's flat, is it wet, etc., etc., and also to put forward any suggestions that they may have how to take it forward. Following the walkabout, we reconvened in the town hall where we had half-hour discussion where people just put out ideas of what they would like just to take it forward, really.
There were some members of the public with us.
Yes, of course there were. But I mean, the whole idea is this is to come forward as a joint venture, as if it were, to bring all the public and any interested parties together to not necessarily have it designed by a committee, but to allow as many people as possible to have an input into the design and what's going on to it, because it's going to be a fabulous asset. It's 14 plus acres of open area that's going to be open to the public 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There will be no restriction on access. So we went through, you know, headings that can be discussed, options. There is an idea that I wouldn't say committee, but those interested parties will meet again in January to try and put a little bit of meat on the bone to start looking at funding options, because we have £64,000 that will come from the developer, but obviously that's going to be insufficient funds to do 14 acres worth of woodland, footpaths, pond, etc. So we will be looking to get grant funding and assistance from, you know, bodies like Norfolk pond associations or pond projects, etc., to take it forward.
We've already got that money in our bank.
Yeah. Oh, good. Excellent. So we can spend it on consultants, can we? So, I mean, there was a series of items put forward. I think the best way to do it, instead of me just reading out everything that everybody threw out at the meeting, is that after we have the next meeting, we put on the council website the suggestions and the points that we raised that would then allow anybody that's interested to make comment, or, and we'll say when the next meeting is, it will be held in the town hall. If lots of people say they're going to come, we can hold it here. If not, we can hold it in one of the smaller meetings, small meeting room at the front.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really, you know, a best report that I can give on it. Does any other councillors have any points to raise? Gentlemen?
No, I'm just, because I didn't get a chance to look at on the walk around, I was just looking at the access through Salters there, in between, on the Norwich Road there, and you've got another lane that comes back. So I'm just thinking of, well, I know that's a long way, but a sort of place for cars to go down and sort of park up instead of having to use the car park back here and then walk through sort of the church and then.
Well, one of the considerations is that the access to the farm comes within the Hills ownership.
Right, okay.
And the farm has right of way over it. So that being the case, and obviously we need confirmation of all these points, is that at that point we could create our own car park. Because there is only ever going to be pedestrian access from the Queen's Road.
Yes. Yeah.
So to get machinery in, there is a possibility of coming through the allotment.
The allotment, yeah.
There, at last, there certainly could get pedestrian access through the churchyard, but it would, if it is possible to get any maintenance access and construction access through farm track, that's the only sensible way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And stop.
Yeah, there was the discussion about where the 3G pitch is going.
Yes.
That we were allowing an access road to go through. We may, obviously it's not permanent access road, but we could always use the end of that to actually develop a car park if required, I would guess.
Oh yes, sorry, where it comes from that road, yeah. So if effectively there's a haul road created which is sufficient to take the machinery necessary to create and dig out the 3D pitch, etc., then that's an ideal base to start, as Councillor Dalton said, for the location of the car park. And presumably we will have control over where we say that haul road can go. Or has that been agreed? I think it's already been agreed.
We've agreed it, but I've got a funny feeling that in a recent meeting, I think that the school have now said that the construction vehicles will go through the school site. Okay. So I'll double check that.
If we can get confirmation of that. Okay, so I don't know if we need to put it to a vote that we have another meeting in January. I think that's already decided, isn't it? But obviously we'll publish the date that meeting is happening. Anybody that wishes to attend, whether it's only just to offer their ideas or advice, then please come along. It's not just for the councillors to decide, it's for the public and what the public want, and if we can deliver it, we will. If it's not financially possible because somebody wants this, that and the other, then obviously we can't. But essentially it's an open space area. It's not a new playground, it's a natural area, hopefully with a pond in it for wildlife and everything like that. It's not football pitches, it's just a green area where people can walk. Councillor Dole?
There was also discussion when we first spoke about it of having an area as an outdoor classroom, and we were going to contact the schools as well.
Yep. Well, that's one of the things I've got here is the consultation bodies. Basically, everybody that we can think of to have an input into this. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a large project, but at the end of it, I think it was going to be a wonderful asset for the town. Okay, so that brings the items on the agenda to a conclusion, apart from the second public participation. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Talking about these trees and that is the gamers, isn't it?
Yes.
And obviously now you're looking at the woodland area and you want to get the public involved.
Yes.
A suggestion, obviously to help fund, is possibly get locals to sponsor a tree, sponsor a bench in memory of loved ones. Particularly my parents, I haven't got anywhere that I can go. My dad died in another country. I haven't got anywhere to visit in his memory. I'd be more than happy to sponsor either a tree or a bench, and there's probably a lot of people in my position
What a wonderful idea.
that could do that.
Yeah.
And I think that would make the woodland area lovely. People would visit, they're going to look after it. You'll probably get less vandalism because
Yep. Totally.
so I was going to suggest that for gamers, but then obviously I think that would be great for the woodlands as well.
Yep.
And open it up to the public.
So we'll put that sort of public in memory.
Yeah.
Put that.
You can either get them to purchase the tree, but then you don't know what they're purchasing. So if you purchase them, we sponsor. So we either put a contribution to it. I don't know how you'd want to work it, but I think that would be a fantastic idea.
I think that's absolutely.
I would use that part of the new woodlands area, especially in benches around a pond.
Yeah.
Ideal.
Yeah. I mean, we have discussed sort of a central. There are several very mature oaks, and the idea being one of the suggestions. Nothing is set in stone or anything. Everything, all discussions are up for debate. Is that one of the things was suggested was outside the root protection area to put a circular or a shape, and around that, which is surfaced, around that you would have a series of benches, just as a focal point as you go through the area from whichever access, because there's bound to be at least 3, if not 4 accesses into it.
Yeah.
Just as a focal point, and obviously for wildlife, the idea of a pond. The one thing that was suggested as part of the aesthetics of the park was that we need to, or try to investigate if we can have a pond that isn't fenced in. So it becomes a natural pond with a very sloping edge. Because at the moment, if you look at the new developments at the moment, they all have balancing ponds where the surface water goes. But so they don't use, or they use the least amount of space that they have. The sides are like this. So if it has water and a child falls in, you know, hopefully they'll get themselves out. But the fence is there to stop them getting in. In this type of area, I would hope that we can design it with a very shallow edge. As I said, the balancing pond is done on the smallest area possible.
So if you had like bushes around that are a little bit prickly, you're going to have less children going near it.
Yes, that's one solution. The other solution is we have at least 14 acres. We're not looking at a pond the size of this room. We're looking hopefully at a pond a couple of acres in size that can, and it doesn't have to be around, it could be in an irregular shape along the boundary with the main road, you know, as far down to the bottom, and within the areas, as we found out, Councillor Birch, and the wettest area. Gentlemen, sir.
Have you thought that at Whitling Park, the lake that was a paddling lake got closed because children were drowning in it?
I mean, we haven't taken anything any further than just suggestions at this stage. We will take advice from whoever we would need to on the safety aspects of something like that. I mean, if you go to the mere in Dis, which is fairly deep, where the children feed the ducks, where the sign says don't feed the ducks, there is no fencing. It's a massive area, so there must be opportunities to do that. I'm not saying we will, I'm not saying we won't, but aesthetically it's going to be far nicer as if you're walking past this nice soft edge than you walk up to it and then you've got a three rail fence with, you know, chicken wire on it.
Yeah, well, you would have to have like a life jacket thing.
Oh yeah,
there,
yeah,
so
of course.
have
Yeah,
safety
yeah,
aspects.
places around it, yeah. As I say, everything's up for debate. Anybody's contribution will be most welcome. Any other public participants? Hannah, I'll come back to you, sir.
I know you already voted on it and stuff. It's just to do with Blackthorn Road, where I love the design and like putting more trees in and stuff. My only concern is you have the big field where everybody plays and has their dogs, and then the smaller section where you put the plot C, the play area.
Well, there's one player on either side.
Yeah, yeah. So the one on the smaller plot closer to the houses. I live there. I do notice that because everybody's got their dogs running around on the other bit, that is where like people with reactive dogs or like, you know, dogs that need to be away from children or away from other dogs, they tend to keep around the area. And I'm just worried if you put that kid play bit in that section, they then have to find somewhere else to go because obviously there's going to be kids there and they don't want to bring their dogs if they're reactive and scared of other dogs and kids.
Okay. We'll
Yeah,
can
it's
only
just
take a
something
view.
to
Yeah,
forward,
no.
isn't it?
I mean,
And then the other thing was just with the allotment association thing, why we haven't really, we were going to try and draft up a proposal more for it because we are worried there are people who have been there for a very, very long time who were against joining the association, and we don't want to be like, join the association or you have to leave, because they've obviously been there and set their plots for a long time. So if there's something in place for if those people don't want to do it, what happens, that sort of thing.
yeah, but it's not a extra cost, and there is no requirements apart from just becoming
There is a cost.
Yeah, so
what's to become a member.
Yeah, it's only £4 a year, but they do also have to submit their name and like an email to give contact, and some people just haven't been comfortable because they have to register and all that. So it's
Well, that's a view that it may be that we need a meeting with those members, yourself and whoever comes along, and take a view on it. If
we point out the benefits of having
Yeah,
it fenced
yeah.
properly, that's for the allotment
I
holders.
think we just
None
have
of them
to,
get their stuff
don't have to
fenced
force
and-
it, we can
So
encourage it.
you
can't we?
think for £4 a
I mean,
year.
you can't force people
Well,
to
no,
sign
no.
anything like that.
No.
But you know, would the council be of the view that if they say no, I refuse, then when their application comes round next, you know, I don't know. That's a decision and
No, I
a
think
discussion for another day.
I think that's awful. They've had a allotment association before, but not everybody joined it. It was just the ones that wanted to join, and they don't get the opportunity of cheap plants, etc., which you do if you're a member. So I don't think we can enforce that at all.
But then again, unless they're a member and they get the grant funding, it's either the council would either have to choose to spend, I don't know, 15, 20 grand on a fence all the way round, or the allotment holders will have to take their chances with the little buggers jumping over the fence. Councillor Dalton.
Yeah, I would have, on that basis, I would just ask that we check how, what the grant rules are for some of this money. If we can see that 90% of them are association members and maybe 10% are not, will that still allow us access to grant funding? But I think it's just a moot point.
Yeah,
at
we
the
did
moment.
also want to see if I talk with Sharon more about different grants, about if if we all vote for it, but not all the other, you know, like get a majority vote, so even if they're not in the association, if they put forward a vote for it, if they can still get.
I mean, if you can investigate and say, pass any information you have back to Sharon, and we can take it forward. So,
Jane as footpaths, you'll need those solid, because as Mr. Reynolds says, if you have people coming off there with football boots full of mud, and you've got a gravel path, that'll be covered in mud straight away. You've got hundreds of children down there on a Saturday morning or whenever they train. They'll all come trooping off there to go into their parents' cars, and they'll be kicking mud off all over your footpath. So it needs to be concrete or something solid that you can sweep.
okay.
Otherwise it'll fill up.
Yeah.
And as planting apple trees, when that meadow first got taken over, that was planted with apple trees. And you can see what's happened to them. They've not been looked after, no one's pruned them properly, and that's been a waste of time putting them in there. And that'll be the same, exactly the same when you plant them again. Because unless you've got an experienced person to look after those apple trees, they'll never grow. And you can see that they haven't grown in, I don't know, 20 years have we had it? I don't know. But the trees that were planted have made no growth whatsoever.
That are falling off, so the apples are growing.
There's certainly some of the trees are well established, because there were piles of apples on the floor.
There was a load of trees there
Yeah.
that are well established and have gone completely out of control because no one's ever pruned them or looked after them.
Okay. That's obviously something we
Something
need
we've got
to.
look at, yeah.
But personally, I think you'd be better off planting deciduous trees and making a wooded area there than putting apple trees in.
Well, the only suggestion on the walkabout, is because it was an orchard,
Yeah, I know.
is that because they have either failed through natural causes or let's say neglect or whatever.
I've been an orchard for 78 years.
No, but as a nod back to its original use, we're not trying to put it on any of the football pitches or anything like that. It's
But
just a nice
you've
thing maybe
done
to.
this before, and it's completely failed. And as the old government would say, lessons learned.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's something we need to look at to see if there is anybody that has the knowledge and ability to.
We've got with the orchard that's been put into Blackthorn, we were given advice and you know sort of like how to maintain it and look after it by the company themselves.
So who does that now
The
fail to the ground, does fall to the groundsman to?
Yeah.
do that? Okay.
But that is looking after young, you know.
Well,
fruit trees,
these would be
etc.
new planted
Yeah,
trees, but
yeah.
it's
They've
certainly
already
also
done
see
that,
if
yeah.
we get some advice or,
Yeah.
or I mean, we have a an arboriculturist, don't we, that we use?
Yeah.
I mean, surely it doesn't matter whether it's an oak tree or a fir tree or an apple tree. A tree is a tree, and he must be able to advise.
No, it isn't.
No.
An apple tree needs looking after and pruning properly.
No, what the
all
point?
your other trees that are deciduous trees, you can just leave to go
No,
wild.
the point I was trying to make is that if we have an arboriculturist, from his point of view, the advice given can be for an oak tree, an apple tree, a pear tree, or a conifer. He's the expert on
Yeah.
trees, so he should be able to advise us what work needs to be done to those existing apple trees to give them a little bit longer life.
Every year.
And we have had.
Well, that's the advice we would ask for.
Well, it
Just
will
had
be
a tree
every year.
inspection report given, which we're working with the reports at the moment.
Does that include the
That
trees
will be-
on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we will. So I'll.
Okay, well, we'll follow that up on that. So, is there any other points before we bring the meeting to a conclusion? Okay, thank you very much. Meeting closed.
That did a long lunch time. What are we on? Hour 6? Gotta give a sushi.